Hey everyone, so in this video I'm actually going to be going over the toon Aaron a bit. I know that some people have recently picked him up because there was an event where you could pick up some Aaron cards, so I know for some people who didn't get him during the last event where he was free, you have been able to acquire some cards for him, and some people might be a little confused as to how to mod him, what type of weapon to put on him. So to get started, when we take a look at Aaron's Rush, it's only 58 AP, which is pretty fast. It deals a small amount of damage, 350% to up to 3 enemies, but those enemies also get minus 25% attack for 3 turns and minus 20 AP. This rush is actually pretty good because the AP drain will help stop rushes and the attack down will lower the amount of damage that you'll take. Next, when we take a look at Aaron's active skill, it gets a little murky on if you should actually level it up or not. It's a turn 2 active skill where up to 3 enemies get impair for 2 turns, and then this character and one other teammate get elusive for 2 turns, and Aaron gets plus 35% AP. The reason why it's unclear if you should level Aaron's active skill or not is because of some of the recent videos I've done where attack up when impaired can make some toons just deadly, especially when you have a waste not toon with a splash weapon, for example. If you add on attack up when impaired on that toon, you can do a ridiculous amount of damage on a basic attack. Now I will say the elusive is nice, because elusive means you won't give away any AP from attacking or from being attacked. Aaron also has a very good defensive leadership skill, where all fast and tough teammates get 40% HP and 40% defense. This helps make a very tanky defensive team, and there are lots of yellow and blue toons that can fit right behind Aaron very easily. Next, when we look at Aaron's mod set, this is the mod set that I've picked so far, but there's lots of ways you could adjust this. This is a pretty basic mod set, HP set, because I want to make sure he has a high amount of HP so he can't be bled out. There's no burn or maim, for example, and it just helps make a very tanky defensive team. I have defense versus tough because of all the tough characters that are used on attack, ranging from Mercer to Priya to Princess. HP and defense mods just to make him even more tanky. I have a reflect damage mod, which I don't expect to do a lot of damage because he's a true defensive leader and his defense is already pretty high. In theory, it might be better to use a defense when confused or defense when stunned mod instead of a reflect damage mod. I have defense down resist so that this toon's defense can't be lowered. That way he stays tanky the whole time. And I'm not really looking for him to rush and be very active. I just want him to slow down the offensive team. If I had a stun resist or a confused resist, for example, I just don't think it would be as helpful. Because I don't necessarily need my Aaron to rush or use his active skill, it's not a game-changing ability either way. So if he's just able to take a lot of hits and take time off of the offensive team, I think that could be really valuable. Because in war, everything is about how long it takes you to beat the enemy. Now we can take a look at a few different weapon choices for Aaron. So if we were to keep Aaron's weapon and still use the third slot, like I personally don't like crafting off special third slots. So in this case, when being attacked, a 25% chance for all teammates to gain 15% bonus HP. Bonus HP is not my favorite, but at the same time, it can make it more tricky for an aggressive offensive team to defeat you. You'll also notice that on a lot of these weapons, I have fast healing on them, and that's to help combat infection as well as other status effects that could take away HP, so like burn or bleed, for example. We can see here I have a very defensive weapon with defense, HP, impenetrable defense, which is absolute defense, plus a 20% slow potential, as well as fast healing again. Here's another very defensive but also selfish weapon, 35% HP, 34% defense, impenetrable defense, and heal 10% HP per each debuff on this character, that being stun, taunt, confuse, daze, burn, bleed, infection, normalize. Really anything you can think of is considered a debilitating status effect. You could also go with an HP based weapon, and ideally a huge bonus to AP when attacking if you want Aaron to rush, and apply that minus 20 AP, to the enemies. Just some control really, the minus 25% attack as well. The impenetrable defense is helpful, and as I mentioned, the 10% healing per each debuff. Now, here's an example of an Aaron lead defensive team. Now, of course, you don't have to have Double Princess or Frost or Tanya. There's a lot of other yellow and blue toons that you can use. There's Payback Shiva. There's Bide Rosita. There's the free S-Class Dr. Stevens. There's Arav, of course, if you want an aggressive defensive team. You can run 6-star Dr. Stevens for a fast rushing team. Blue toons, you can run Angel behind Aaron. You can run Mercer if you want a true defensive lead like Aaron, but still want to have Mercer's stun weapon in play. There's just so many different characters that you could run behind Aaron, and because of the 40% defense and HP buff, they'll all become a lot tankier, meaning they'll take less damage off of attacks, and they'll have more HP overall, meaning it'll be more difficult to kill them. Here's another example of a somewhat free-to-play defensive team that you can make. It's not perfect, of course, but it's good enough for our own testing purposes. I'm considering it mostly a free-to-play team because Aaron, as I mentioned, a lot of people have been able to acquire him. Shiva's cards have been up for a little bit now. Frost, his cards have been up for a while as well, and he's been in Onslaught rewards quite often actually. S-Class Dr. Stevens was part of a multi-week event, so he was acquirable if you chose to get him. So I'm just using him on defense. He doesn't have a bound weapon. He has an active skill that recovers from heal reduction, so pretty useful against infection. And then Rosita, her cards have become widely available now. You can get her with a battle pass as well. So that's definitely a free-to-play defensive team. And because I'm using a mainly free-to-play defensive team, I'll use a free-to-play offensive team as well, just to kind of show you how a tanky defense can really function. And whenever I hit Aaron with a basic attack, there's that chance to give that bonus HP. And because my team is supposed to do direct damage, the bonus HP actually comes in handy. This team is a little bit tricky. I intentionally put Shiva and Frost in a line even though they're both blue toons, because if I can't normalize Shiva, I can't rush the line of Frost and Shiva with my princess, for example, because I could end up triggering the payback ability. The ordering of defensive toons is so important, and it can really make or break your team. I know some people say that the order doesn't matter, but in some cases it does, just because of how trait advantages and disadvantages work. And when you understand that part, it'll help you kind of organize your team on the defensive end. Like, how can I get this ability to trigger? What will trigger it on the offensive team? Is it likely to happen? There really are so many factors to consider, and it's hard to remember each and every one of them. That's why personally, whenever I make a new defensive team, I get my faction to hit it for me, because that way I have a decent idea of how difficult it is, but I'm also aware that they can battle it again and again and again and practice against it to specifically beat that team. As you can see, my faction mates have handily beat me again and again and again, and it just gives me good feedback on what I need to work on and where the holes are in my defense. Now, on my main account, this is the type of Aaron team that I would make. I would think of Mercer and Angel on the defensive team, Aaron as a leader, of course. I'm contemplating maybe Frost here, but if you want to run Frost, this is where, you bring in a payback toon. So I'm getting closer to my S-Class payback Shiva, but I'm still a ways away. Now, the downside with this defensive team is that it's primarily blue. So although tough healing weapons would work well, I definitely want a good balance of yellow and blues so that I have fast healing weapons, which handle normal HP, and tough healing weapons, which handle bonus HP. Now for this defensive team, I'm putting Georgia in just because she's very tanky, so I'm hoping that she'd be able to hold up on a defensive team like this. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video.